Hi, my name is Tiana Karamayas and I'm a Cavoodle puppy coach and breeder for Noodle Way and River City Puppies. As a coach, my philosophy is simple. A Cavoodle should always complement your lifestyle, not complicate it. And this is the foundation to everything I teach. For almost the past decade, I have been working in the breeding, training, grooming, and veterinary sectors of the small animal industry. I've also been raising Cavoodles for the past 16 years, so I have definitely learned a thing or two about the breed along the way. Now this podcast is all about Cavoodles. Raising Cavoodles, training Cavoodles, grooming Cavoodles, breeding Cavoodles, and how to shape the behavior of a Cavoodle puppy. So if you're a Cavoodle parent or you are looking at adding a Cavoodle to your family soon, then this podcast is for you. New episodes will be released each Tuesday morning, and you can follow me across all social media under the name @OodleWay for more tips and advice on Cavoodles. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, welcome back to episode 22 of the Cavoodle Coach podcast Rebooted. My name is Tiana Karamayas and I am your host. So today is part 2 of the last previous podcast episode, which is where I have been going through my current litter's puppy evaluations, where we test their temperaments and help the families match a puppy to their lifestyle. So if you didn't watch or listen to last week's episode, go and listen to that one first, because that was with the first 3 puppies. And from those 3 puppies, I actually picked which one I am keeping. And then in today's episode, we are going through the remaining 3 puppies and their evaluation results. And just, I want to do this to help you understand if you're going to pick a breeder. Hopefully they do some kind of temperament testing, and hopefully this will give you a better understanding on how to understand the results of the temperament traits and match that with your own lifestyle, just so you can get the puppy of your dreams who actually is going to complement your lifestyle and not complicate it. So let's get into it. For this litter, they had their evaluations on Saturday, which was a few days ago, and it was for Phoebe, Rachel and Ross. And yes, I have named these litters after the Friends characters, so I'm going to be using their Phoebe, Rachel and Ross names. I just think I just love Friends, and it was a great litter theme in my opinion. So for the evaluation, again, if you didn't listen to the last episode, go listen to that one so you can have a better understanding on how the actual evaluation works. I'm not going to re-explain it. I'm just going to jump straight into the results, just so you're not having to hear the same thing twice. But listen to that one first if you haven't already. So for Phoebe's evaluation, she was up first. Phoebe is this gorgeous, I'm going to try and explain what she looks like. She's this gorgeous, tiny little Cavoodle. She is 1.2 kilos. She is a beautiful apricot curly color, and she has this really nice big white streak that goes up her chest, across her sort of breastplate, up her chin, under her chin, her jaw, up over her nose. So she is just gorgeous, apricot and white. She's just adorable. So when Phoebe first entered the evaluation room, I was actually really impressed with her. She has always been a very quiet little puppy, and she came into the testing area and she immediately started to explore. She was so confident throughout the entire test. She barely had any hesitation at all to explore anything. And this confidence level was so nice to see. Sometimes with Cavoodles, when they can be on the smaller side, sometimes they can just suffer a little bit more from confidence or lack of confidence. But this definitely wasn't the case for Phoebe. She was very confident. And she didn't, and in terms of interacting with the tester, which was me, she had probably more of like a medium assertiveness. So she didn't push herself into my space without being invited. When I called her over, she sat by my feet and she was so polite and gentle. So she had a really nice confidence level and then assertiveness level. And that assertiveness, it helps you understand when your puppy meets someone new or visitors come over or whatever they interact with humans, how much they're going to be in the human's face versus hanging back and not, I guess, encroaching on personal space. Dogs with high assertiveness, they don't have a very good understanding of personal space, and they just see your lap and go, that's where I want to be, mum. And then they climb in without any, regard to your thoughts or feelings. So the medium assertiveness, for a puppy is really nice to see. In terms of Phoebe's motivation though, so throughout the test, when I started to introduce different toys to the testing area, she, like I said, she's a quiet girl, and it didn't surprise me that she took everything at her own rate. So she didn't have a very high level of enthusiasm. She would follow the toys, follow my direction over the different obstacle equipment, but it wasn't with sort of that enthusiasm where they're like, okay, mom, let me do this. I just want to follow what you're doing. Let me chase this toy. Oh my gosh, now we're going to do this. This is so much fun. It wasn't with that kind of attitude. It was more of a, okay, oh, I guess I could chase this toy. I'll just walk after it though. And oh, you want me to go up this ramp? I guess I could do that. And then I'll just trot up there very slowly. So that was kind of Phoebe's, I guess, how she addressed the temperament test. And it definitely aligns with what I've been seeing from her outside of this, and it just proves that her motivation level is definitely more medium to low, which means for her future family, they're going to need to give her a reason to do what they're asking. So she doesn't have that innate desire to just do whatever you want because she wants your attention. Instead, you might have to use her favorite treats to really get her to remain engaged in training, or to give her a reason to do what you're doing. She's going to be more on that independent side, which is really nice for a family who wants a puppy who's happy to be by themselves or happy to be with you and not going to need that constant reassurance of where you are and guidance on what to do. They're able to just hang out by themselves, which is really good for a family who either might be working more of a 9 to 5 schedule, or a family who has another dog and that other dog might be really highly human focused. And if you were to add 2 highly human focused dogs into the same house, that's when jealousy can occur because they'll be fighting for the human's attention. So that can also be, Phoebe would be really great for a house with another dog. Or in addition to this, like myself, she just might suit a family who likes independent dogs. So this was a really nice trait to see for Phoebe. And so she also had this nice medium to low energy level, which again is really well suited to families who aren't looking for a dog who is very enthusiastic and vigorous with their playing or their interactions, who's more of a slower paced, go with the flow, I'll just chill here kind of puppy. And when we then started to introduce the next level of the test, which is bringing in different objects that are going to startle Phoebe, this is when we were testing her nerve strength, which again is how many times we can stress her out before she gets too stressed and needs time to recover. And then also it tests how sensitive she is to different sounds and sights. And she was amazing. Like, I honestly just wanted to give her the biggest round of applause. She didn't get stressed at all. I did not see any stress signs from her. And in fact, when I brought the dancing elephant into the testing area, she was the only puppy that I've ever had who thought it was a fun toy to play with. So she went straight up to this dancing elephant where its ears flap and its trunk goes up and down, and she was doing play bows, trying to play with this elephant, and she just had no fear at all. There was no startle, and she was not stressed. And this is so good. It's what we call relatively bomb-proof puppies, which means you can do anything with them, and they don't get those feelings of stress and start to crumble and get that anxiety. And again, this is really good for a family who does want the flexibility to leave their puppy at home more because she's not going to suffer from the stress of being alone, or she's not prone to. It can always happen if the families do the wrong things and create that separation anxiety. That can still happen. But if they follow the right plan, it won't form for Phoebe. And that's everything I help them with when they bring her home. But it also means for a family who wants to be able to take their puppy out in public and the puppy to be fine with all the different sounds and sights of, the outside world, the puppy, Phoebe, she's going to do really well. She's not going to get very stressed with that, as long as, again, the family has to keep up this training where we continue to desensitize her to everything and make sure she continues to remain very neutral to these different sounds and sights. So I was so impressed and so proud of her to see this. And then to add on to this, to say, just what an amazing puppy little Phoebe is, she loves to be touched as well. So she is so cuddly and loves that human contact, which is a nice trait to have in a puppy for families. The final test we did was her tender-hearted test, which lets us know how Phoebe will go if there is a sudden outburst of highly intense emotion, how she will cope. And for Phoebe, when I fell to the ground crying out, she ran over to me and she went under my neck and she was looking at my face and she was very concerned with how I was feeling, which is obviously really, really sweet. However, what this means is we don't want to place her into a household that is really highly anxious, because what it means is Phoebe's going to feel responsible for everyone in that house to make them feel better. And that responsibility, if it continues happening every day, multiple times a day, and she's having to tend to these really high outbursts of emotions and she's feeling this inside and she's feeling distress over that, that's going to lead to her getting very anxious. And that can lead to her just crumbling under that pressure. And then all of that really amazing nerve strain that she has, it can all go away. So that's why in my evaluation report, I did say in that report, we don't want to put her in a family where there are lots of outbursts of emotions. We want to make sure she goes to a family that is relatively neutral and calm, just so that she just cares a lot. And that means that if she cares a lot, we don't want to make her feel like she's got such a big job in the house. We want her to be happy and content and relaxed. So that was one of the only things that I said to be aware of. And obviously also because she is more on that independent side, she's not necessarily going to be that puppy who is going to follow you around the house and be at your feet and climb into your lap. She might be a little bit more off on her own, doing her own thing. And that there, depending on a family, some families love that in puppies, such as myself. I really love that. Other families want dogs who are very much driven by their presence. So that's just a nice thing to keep in mind. And if you're looking at your own lifestyle and you're thinking about having a puppy, you have to think, how do I want this puppy to react when I'm in the room? And how often am I going to be available for them? Because if you have a puppy who is very much driven by your attention, you can't be working 9 to 5. That's when they get separation anxiety and they don't handle this very well. So you have to look at your own lifestyle and what you want in a puppy and make sure you are matching the puppy to your lifestyle, just to make sure that everyone is happy and fulfilled and not suffering any stress or anxiety that they otherwise wouldn't have to feel if you were there more or if you weren't there more, vice versa, whatever you like. So that was Phoebe's evaluation, and yeah, she was wonderful. I was really, really, really happy with her evaluation test there, especially her nerve strength. It's just really nice to have puppies who cope really well under stress. It just makes it a lot easier, especially for first-time Cavoodle parents, because Cavoodles can be prone to that anxiety. If you have a puppy who has responded really well to all of the training so far, and they have built that nerve strength, it just is one less thing that a family has to worry about. Nerve strength, luckily, is something that can always be trained and built upon, but every family always loves to have that little bit less training, just because training can be demanding, especially if you're a first-time puppy parent, and it's just nice to be able to be like, don't worry about that, the Phoebe's doing really well so far. Now, on to the next little puppy. The next little puppy we had was Miss Rachel. Now, Rachel is, imagine a teddy bear, a deep, dark, ruby red, chocolatey teddy bear. Then add on some white paws, a white muzzle, a white stripe up between her eyes and onto her top of her head, and then a big white patch across her breastplate or her chest there, and then make her a little bit curly, and that's Rachel. She is just visually absolutely stunning. She's just gorgeous, so dark, and yeah, she's a beautiful puppy. And for her temperament testing, there were definitely some similarities between her and Phoebe, and then there was a bit of another main difference between them. So let's go through her evaluation. Rachel, in terms of her confidence level, she was just the same as her sister. She had no real hesitations towards anything throughout the test, and she was happy to explore anything I directed her towards. It was really nice to see. Her assertiveness, though, she is definitely more medium to high assertiveness, and this coincides with her human focus. So Rachel, like I was saying before when I was explaining Phoebe's lower human focus, which means she doesn't care so much for human attention. Rachel's the opposite. Rachel is definitely a puppy who looks at the human and goes, I want to be with you and I want to follow you and I will do anything at all for your attention. You want me to sit? You want me to climb on this? You want me to go through this tunnel? Yes, I'll do it because I get to be with you. So she has that really, really special energy and that enthusiasm to work with a human. And this is really, really special, especially for families who want that puppy to be so excited to be part of your life. She has that enthusiasm and that natural, innate desire to be with you at your feet and just exploring and doing life with you, which is really special. And again, that reflected in her assertiveness. So she was more medium to high assertiveness, which means Rachel is much more likely to go over to you and then climb into your lap and put herself in that position because she loves humans so much and she wants to be there, that she has that, I guess, a bit of a lack of awareness of personal space where she just goes, I want to be with you, mum, dad, I'm going to get in your lap now and you're just going to love me anyway, which is just, I think that is a funny personality. I have a very low human focused Cavoodle and then I have a very highly human focused Cavoodle. And the Cavoodle who's very highly human focused, she makes me laugh 10 times a day just with how funny she is, her personality. That assertiveness is so funny where they just go, well, you're on the couch, I think I could squeeze under your arm and get into your lap, let me do that. And they just push their way in and it makes me laugh. And yeah, they really suit a family who wants to feel loved by their puppy because these puppies have so much love to give and their attention, their world revolves around you. When we then brought in the different objects to test her startle, so see how she handles stress, how she startles to different sounds. Again, she was really, really good. I was so impressed. She didn't show any real stress. The biggest stress she saw was after the elephant started to dance. She went over, sniffed it, wagged her tail, and then she came back and she climbed into my lap. And that's just a bit of human assurance that she was seeking and that human connection, which again is reflected in her human focus. For her to feel more comfortable, she seeks out humans to feel that comfort, which is really nice to have. And when you look at putting her into a home, we just have to make sure that we balance that with making sure that she doesn't become completely reliant on humans to feel comfortable, because that's when that anxiety can form, that separation anxiety can form. We want to make sure that she's still learning how to feel that confidence and be okay and manage her stress by herself. Now, Rachel, I got to tell you, in this test, she's the type of dog where you try and do something with her and she just rolls onto her back. Like I'll try and train her and she'll just roll on her back. And she loves to be touched and she loves that human attention. So obviously she very much loved being handled all over, which is really good for families who want a cuddly puppy. Her energy levels were a little bit higher because she has that enthusiasm to work with you and be part of your life and do whatever you want. So she comes into the testing space and she interacts with humans with more intensity than her sister Phoebe. And then she had the exact same reaction for the tenderheartedness. So that means she is a dog who feels human emotions, takes it to heart, and she really wants to make you feel better and she feels that distress herself. So again, we want to make sure we're placing her into a home that isn't a very highly emotionally driven household, because we don't want her to be feeling that anxiety and that stress and that pressure all the time. So in summary, Rachel is such a fun, loving little puppy. She is confident. She loves humans. She loves human attention. She's so enthusiastic to do training. She's going to be so enthusiastic to be in a home where she gets to be involved in your lifestyle a lot. And she obviously is going to really love a family who is home more often than not, just because she finds the most fulfillment by being involved in your life. So we want to make sure she's getting that, but also absolutely making sure that every day she does get a few hours alone, just so we make sure she doesn't get that separation anxiety. And this is so exciting because it just means that if a family is looking for a puppy who is really wanting a dog who loves them as much as they love her, this is the dog for you. And she is going to a very wonderful home, and I'm so excited for her. They're just going to fall in love. It's so easy to fall in love with puppies who are so highly human focused, because you just feel the love from them, and it's so amazing to feel that love. They just adore you. So that was Rachel's evaluation. Moving on to the final puppy. The final puppy that we saw was Ross. Now, Ross is, if you've watched Friends, then you obviously know the character Ross. And now picture Ross, the character, in a Cavoodle form. And that is what Ross looks like. So Ross has these sad, big puppy eyes that just look at you, and he has a long face, and he honestly just looks like Ross from Friends in puppy form. He's this beautiful ruby red color all over, big floppy ears, those big sad droopy puppy eyes, and his personality, he's like this little, or this bigger, he's the biggest puppy in the litter, this cuddle bug. He just goes into your arms and he melts, he snuggles in, and he's floppy, and he's just beautiful. I can't tell you how beautiful Ross is. And when he came into the testing area, this whole litter, they're so confident, which is so beautiful to see. He was not scared of going around the testing area. He wasn't scared of any of the new equipment I was bringing in. And he did have, very slight moments of hesitation, like a few seconds as he looked at a new object, and he was like, okay. And then he would go and explore. And it was really, really nice. When it came to introducing the different toys, he definitely loves toys that allow him to chase. So I have this big blue octopus, and it's got, 8 tentacles. So he loves to chase that around the space, and he gets energy by that. The ball he could give or take, didn't really enjoy the ball that much. But he did get distracted a little bit in between this. So he scores a bit more of this more medium prey drive, where he finds it fun, but then he can also get a little bit distracted, and he doesn't like every type of toy. He really gravitated towards the chasing toy with the tentacles, but the ball he could give or take. And then in terms of his more motivation level, when we started to introduce the different obstacle equipment and I tried to guide him over it, he would follow it, and then he would do really well, and then his attention span would get, to the end, and he would go get distracted by something else. So his personality was more so, okay, why not, rather than, oh my gosh, okay, Mum, what's next? I want to do the next thing now. So he didn't lack that exact same enthusiasm as Rachel, but he definitely had a bit more, I would say, enthusiasm than Phoebe did. So he was a nice sort of in between his sisters. And this again sort of reflects in his human focus. He isn't highly human focused, but he isn't completely off on his own. He does love to seek some human connection. He loves a snuggle. Like, he wants to come into your lap and he wants to melt and just sit with you. So he loves that there, but it's not the same where with Rachel, it's with that really high level of, I guess, sort of desperation, where they're just like, oh my gosh, I just want to be with you, Mum. His was more, oh, you've got a warm lap, let me come snuggle in it. At least that's what I get as a breeder when I look at the different personality traits. I try and put myself into their heads and go, okay, what are they thinking right now? And that's what I'm getting off Ross. He's like, oh, it's so nice and comfy. I just want to relax in your lap and lie on my back. And I know that you're comfy, so I'm going to come seek you out. But then again, I do want to go and explore this toy on my own. So he's pretty much just in between his two sisters. So in terms of his energy levels too, he is a more lower energy dog. He has moments of high energy when he plays with a toy he likes, but he also does spend a lot of time walking around slowly at his own pace, or just sitting there and looking. So he's more medium to low in terms of his energy levels. Now, the main difference between him and his sisters that I started to see was when we started to add the different stresses to the test. He did start to show some stress. So he was doing a lot of yawning, some vocalizing, and this meant that stress was stacking up and his nerve strength was getting to its maximum, and he was getting close to just not being able to fully recover. And so whenever we see this in a puppy, that's when we stop, and then we help them calm back down, and then we add in the more stresses. And so again, nerve strength is something that can always be built. And so with his family, it's just important that they know that stacking multiple stresses at the moment starts to stress him out. So we have to go more slowly. And if he starts to get stressed, we take a step back And then we slowly build that nerve strength up so that he's able to handle everything without getting any stressed. And then finally we did his tender-hearted test, and he was so cute. So I fell to the ground screaming out, crying. It's so dramatic and embarrassing. I hope no one ever has to see me do that. And he ran over to me and he ran behind my head, and he sort of like cried a little bit, and then he put his paws on my head, and then he sat there. He didn't really know what to do, and he was feeling a little bit of stress because I could hear him like making little whiny noises, and I could see when I watched the video back, I could see his body language was a bit unsure. So he didn't have that highly distressed reaction that his sisters does. It was more of this is a bit odd. I don't really know what's happening. I'm not overly fazed by it. I'm not feeling that concerned for you, but I want to be with you because you're on the ground. It was a bit more of a confused reaction, which means that because he had that more of a confused reaction, he probably will end up doing a bit better than his sisters if he was in a home that had some more emotional outbursts, such as, with children. In saying that, though, he did show some stress signals. So obviously we never want to put a puppy through unnecessary stress. So it's still a good idea, for his family to know that if someone's upset and someone's crying, it's always a good idea to take the puppy away and go do something fun with them, because we want puppies to always be happy and relaxed, and we don't want them to be feeling stressed or sad or anxious, because that just, I guess, for Cavoodles in particular, it can set them up for a really hard day if they have, a big bout of stress or anxiety. The way that they approach everything else for the day can be different. So we always want to make sure the puppies are feeling confident and happy and relaxed. But yeah, he did handle it better, but more in a confused state than a really, really overly concerned point of view. So in summary, for Ross, he's just such a sweet, cuddly boy. I can't explain to you. He just melts in your arms. He has that confidence levels where he goes through different objects without getting too nervous. He has, more of a medium prey drive. He likes to play with toys, but then he also gets distracted and does his own thing. So he's got that bit of independence, and he has that little bit of drive to play with you as well. He's got this nice combination. And I know my litter families have already picked their puppies, and I do know Ross is going to a family with children. And I keep saying this to all my family who come and see Ross. I just say, the kids that are going to have Ross are going to fall in love with him, because as a child, you just want a puppy who you get to just cuddle and then play with. And Ross is going to do that. He just loves the cuddle, loves to play a bit, and then loves to cuddle again. And he doesn't have that really high energy and that high intensity to anything he does, which, combined with children can be too much. It's actually more of a lower level, which means he's not going to increase the craziness of a household if kids are playing. He'll hopefully neutralize it a bit, and it'll be more of a calm experience. So I'm just so excited for him to go to his new family with children. I think he is the perfect puppy for children because he just loves the cuddle and he loves the play, and then he loves to be by himself. I think it's a really good mix for everything there. So I'm so excited. And that's the evaluations done for those 3 puppies. And I hope you understand a bit more about the different temperament traits we can see in puppies and how you can match it to your lifestyle. If you're getting the chance to go meet puppies, or you have a breeder who does temperament testing, this is so amazing. It is such a big bonus. And I really wish everyone did this rather than just picking a puppy the day they're born based on the gender and the coat color they have, because it's so important that you do match it to your lifestyle, especially if you have a certain, I guess, idea in your head of what kind of puppy you're looking for. Because if you're looking for a puppy who really does have that enthusiasm to be with you and just wants to shower you in love, but then you get a puppy who has a really low human focus and isn't really driven by human attention, you yourself will feel a lack of love from your puppy. And then vice versa, if you want a puppy who is more independent and isn't always on you and attached to you, and then you get one that is, then you're going to feel a little bit of stress, frustration, and we never want any kind of resentment to form between a puppy and a family. We want to make sure that the puppy matches the family's lifestyle and idea of a puppy perfectly, and that way both the puppy and the family are going to get exactly what they want and what they need. And that's what makes a really beautiful, happy bond. And that's when you get families who say, this dog is my dream dog. They are just perfect for me. And that's when you match that temperament to your lifestyle. And that's what I do with my litters and my puppies. And it's so beautiful because I am very happy to let you know that for my litter families, they all got their first choice in puppy. And that just proves that when you are matching a puppy to a lifestyle, it's not just based on the gender. Oh, everyone wants a girl, and there's only one girl, so only one person's going to be happy. Instead, it's everyone just wants the right puppy for them, and it all works out where everyone gets their first choice and they get the perfect puppy for their lifestyle. And it's so satisfying, and it just confirms everything about my program, which is making sure that a Cavoodle puppy gets the best start in life by getting placed in a family who is going to reduce any anxiety because the puppy's going to get everything they need, and it's wonderful. So that was the final evaluations for my current litters of Cavoodles. Everyone got their first pick. I am very, very happy. They are going to their new homes on Saturday, which right now it's Tuesday, so only a few days away. So I am in the midst of doing lots of training with them, and then I'll be saying goodbye. I'll be crying. The puppies will be very happy. They'll get all the human attention they want. They won't have to share with their 6 siblings anymore. But I'll be sad. But I'm also keeping a puppy this time, which is equally just, I'm so excited for Joey. And I'm so excited to get that one-on-one time with him. And I will be updating you with how he's going, obviously, in this podcast. And if you want to see pictures of him and watch him be raised and the training that I do with him, obviously head over to my Instagram at Oodleway. I'll be documenting everything on there. And I would love to see you there, but otherwise I will update you verbally through my podcast. Okay, so that's it for today's episode. I will see you next week. This has been your Cavoodle coach, Tiana Karamayas. I'll see you later.